From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what we're working on for you over the next hour. The immigration war hits gridlock in the Supreme Court. Now the uncertainty weighs on farmers and ranchers in desperate need of labor. It's a lonely and fast ride down for the grains. We'll see how long the bearish action could last. As producers' profits drown in too much milk, one dairyman is going back to the basics.
I don't have a cell phone.
It's Farm Journal's milk cover story in our Farm Journal report. And in John's world,
yeah, it's time to mow roads. And maybe that's not a bad thing.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Now for the news that moved the markets this week. In a monumental vote, the UK is choosing to leave the EU. It was a close vote, but 52% voted that the United Kingdom should leave the European Union. After the results, Prime Minister David Cameron announced he's stepping down, saying fresh leadership is needed. The exit sent currencies into turmoil, with the pound falling to its lowest level against the U.S. dollar in more than 30 years. U.S. stocks also pressured by all the volatility. Pro-Farmers Chip Flory said it's also impacting commodities here at home.
The investors would probably flock away from euro-based investments. That puts pressure on the European currency, the euro. And if you put pressure on the euro, that's going to lift the value of the U.S. dollar, making it tough to keep rallies alive in the grain markets.
The UK remains a member of the EU until it negotiates an exit. Well, prior to the vote, a poll by a farmers publication showed 58% of farmers back the idea of leaving the EU. Many of those are large dairy farmers. 1/3 said they prefer to stay due to fearing the unknown of farm support and market access if they leave. Well, starting in September, you'll be able to find EU wheat futures on the Chicago Board of Trade. The CME Group says it plans to launch European Union wheat futures and options in September. The first delivery month will be December 2016. This has been in the works for a while and positions CME to compete within the world's biggest wheat production area. Well, China's wheat crop could hit a 5-year low. That's after persistent rains dampened the world's top producer. Bloomberg reporting higher than normal rainfall in both April and May hurt growers. It's also hindering wheat harvest in parts of Henan, the country's top wheat grower. Chinese pork imports have nearly doubled so far this year, and there's no sign of that slowing anytime soon. USDA says the wave of exports to China is likely to persist until at least the end of 2016 and even spilling into 2017. That's as Chinese producers struggle to meet domestic demand. Chinese pork production is hurting due to environmental restrictions, including pollution. So far this year, Chinese pork imports have nearly doubled to 892 million pounds. Milk prices continue to drown in a massive oversupply situation. USDA's latest milk production report showing there's still no shortage of milk in the country, with milk production per cow reaching its highest point since the report started in 2003. USDA says production per cow climbed 23 pounds from a year ago, and USDA says maize production hit 18.6 billion pounds, up more than 1% from 2015. States like California and New Mexico saw production fall, while South Dakota continues its rapid growth, hitting nearly a 10% monthly gain. All right, those are the headlines. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen joins us now with weather. Cindy, a very active weather pattern this week with some brutal weather. Is more on the way next week?
Well, Tyne, it is summer, so there's always that possibility. But let's start off with the drought monitor today, because we are really starting to see some dryness expanding in many areas, especially in the southeastern United States, where we're starting to see folks get into that severe drought. Now, we did have a fair amount of rain this week, so I think we'll see this changing and improving, especially in parts of the Corn Belt, where we're seeing dryness expand into the northeast, also into some of the northern plains and into the northwest. In fact, you can watch that progression over the past month. You can see that as we add on each week, we see that drought building in the southeast, into the nation's midsection, and into the northwest. So what can we expect as we head into this week? Well, for Monday, we're going to have a front that's draped across much of the nation. In the northeast, the cold front and stationary front draping back into the plains. And so we're going to be looking for showers and thunderstorms along that, as well as in Florida. Got some seasonal moisture into parts of the Four Corners region, but we're still looking at some pretty hot temperatures, especially in the south and southwest. As we head into your Wednesday forecast, that front gets a little bit further to the south, so we'll see high pressure and sunshine for much of the Corn Belt. We'll see some rain, though, in parts of the Plain states with that trailing front in place there. And as we head through Friday, we're going to be seeing some chances for showers and thunderstorms in much of the southern United States and eastern United States as well. We'll see drier weather in the upper Midwest and into the Northwest as well. Tyne?
All right, thanks so much, Cindy. Well, how is the Brexit vote impacting commodities? We'll discuss with Naomi Bloom and Mike North after the break.
Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
How's it going? Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
All right, let him drop. Let's see how the aluminum bed of this truck held up.
Oh, wow. That's a good-sized puncture.
That's all the way through, for sure.
Full-on crack here. If you're aluminum now, you're gonna go, ooh.
Let's check out the Silverado's steel bed.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple dents.
I'd expect more dents.
Chevy clearly held up better than the Ford.
Opportunities are out there. When it comes to getting maximum productivity from your acres, who can you turn to?
I got a guy who works with me to customize a plan for each acre, not a one-size-fits-all solution.
I got a guy who knows which corn products will help me get more out of this field.
I got a guy who digs deeper, treats my business like it's his.
Who do I turn to? My channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now is the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. On the Marketing Roundtables with me this week, Mike North of Commodity Risk Management Group and Naomi Bloom of Stewart Peterson. No shortage of things to talk about this week. Let's start off with this Brexit vote. Mike, what type of impact are we going to see on U.S. commodities?
Well, the reality of the Brexit vote is it affects currencies worldwide. First, obviously, it affects the pound and then the euro, and as a consequence, our dollar. So dollar goes up, it gets stronger. Suddenly now we become more expensive in the world buyer's eyes. So long term, as this unfolds, we have to face the fact that we won't be likely as competitive in that space. But it doesn't really change the picture, because if you have to feed your people and you need soybeans or you need corn or you need dairy products or pork or beef or whatever, you're going to buy them. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive. So we're going to have to work a little harder in that space, but long term for commodities, it just creates a little stronger headwind, doesn't take us out of the game.
Naomi, why is this turmoil bleeding over into so many other countries and the economic situation worldwide having such an impact just because of this one vote?
That's a great question, and it's because of globalization. That's something that the whole world went towards for the past 15 years. I mean, that's my master's certificate, is global education. So it is such a phenomenal thing that our world had come to, and now we're starting to see people say, I want just my own country, to just focus on my own country instead. And so the impact is that when we have a whole economic system that is truly affected on globalization of every facet, like when we're checking our markets in the morning, I'm sure we're all checking what's happening in every single part of the world. Yeah. And so that still in some sense is going to continue, but now in the short term here, we just have to just get figured out with what the Brexit is going to do in the short term, and especially how it affects the dollar and back to our commodities.
Gotcha. And Mike, it seems like any little hiccup though is felt all over. Is it just because of the economic situation right now?
Well, part of it is we have instant information everywhere. So the reality of that is everybody gets excited about the smallest piece of news. But bottom line is, because of the globalization that Naomi speaks of, we are dealing with a lot of different buyers, and we have to be very competitive among all of the different sellers. So the globalization impacts the way we come to the marketplace, and little things can impact the prices very, very quickly. This Brexit vote causes a lot of angst because now it shakes up certainty. And anytime you disrupt certainty in the marketplace, you put the markets in a place where they have to kind of go back and refigure everything out. Everybody's got to go back to the drawing board and figure out, how they're going to be competitive with the next country, how they're going to price things accordingly. How does our currency play into the conversation? All of these things have to work themselves out. Trade partnerships, all of these things become up for grabs.
At the same time, speaking of uncertainty, we have this corn market where we've fallen more than 60 cents in a matter of like 4 days. Is it all fun selling at this point? I mean, we've been warning people when we fall, we're going to fall hard. We're experiencing that now. Is it just fun selling?
I think it had been primarily fun selling heading into this because they were the biggest component of the marketplace in that short-term rally that we had higher. So they took their profits ahead of the end of second quarter, and they did it ahead of Brexit. Well, what a smart thing to do. They finally had profits to show on the books. But it's maybe a blessing as we head into the third quarter, because now that they have taken some profits, they've got more money to play with. So they can come back. As soon as we get a weather scare in July, they can come back in with 2 fists and be buyers.
Or a bad acreage report, or a good, depending on how you look at it. But the reality is any little shakeup makes them a lot more eligible to come back to the market.
But right now, in this corn market, are we oversold?
Yes. If you look at it from a technical perspective, the charts all say that we've reached areas that are oversold in this market. It presents opportunities for buyers, but the bleeding hasn't necessarily stopped. We haven't closed up the second quarter. We've got people now that are fearful. Farmers sitting on old crop now are finally saying, "Oh, did I miss it? Maybe I better sell before it gets really bad," because we're moving into that time of the year where the bin's got to get cleaned out anyway. So it kind of perpetuates the story a little bit, probably farther than we would think. Nonetheless, we're in an area where there could be some buying that steps in rather swiftly.
And on soybeans, we were overbought just a couple weeks ago. Now, do you think we're oversold?
I think when I looked at RSIs, they weren't indicating oversold, but just a really nice correction in the marketplace. And so we're at a good point where if the weather turns negative, or if we get anything friendly from the quarterly stocks report next week to show that the demand has increased, I think it sets us up for a nice place for some re-ownership opportunities. So that would be my thought on it right now.
All right, well, next week out of USDA, we have the quarterly stocks report. We have an acreage report. Could be a major market mover. What could happen? We'll get their thoughts when we come back on U.S. Farm Report.
So we're a moderate-sized family farm here in Sharpsville, Indiana. We do a lot of corn and soybean growing, and we've grown seed for a good little while as well. And that's what exposed us to the Liberty Link beans at the very first. We have some mare's tail that's really challenging to us. It's been a wet season, it's been a challenging season. Timeliness has been really hard to be on, and mare's tail is one of our worst ones. And it easily can be 3, 4, 5 bushels the acre pretty quickly if you can't control your early weeds.
I think weed control early really helps set the stage to have a good bean crop. Last year we had some beans that were in the upper 60s, even had some beans that were in the 70s as well. So we've been very pleased with them the past few years.
Oh, we're very satisfied. I'm glad that we were able to try it. I'm glad that we've been in these 7 or 8 years. That it's a very solid product and it's performed very well for us.
The new DR trimmer mowers are here, and they're better than ever.
The walk-behind DRs feature world-class engines and easy rolling wheels that let you trim along buildings, decks, and fence lines, mow tall grass and waist-high weeds without tangling, even cut brush up to 3 inches thick with optional cutting attachments. And now there's a full line of tow-behind DR trimmer mowers. Choose from models customized for riding mowers, ATVs, or compact tractors.
So turn to DR and get the job done right.
Call 1-800-418-1409 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. We'll include details of our special 36-month financing plan that lets you own a DR for as low as $25 a month. Free shipping is now in effect. So call 1-800-418-1409. Online at drtrimmer.com.
DR is professional power done right.
Welcome back on U.S. Farm Report. Okay, this acreage debate, USDA, what could come out next week? At this point, what do you think, Naomi, the market has priced in?
Okay, the market absolutely has priced in the possibility of losing 1 million acres of corn and gaining anywhere between 1 and 2 million acres of soybeans. We look back at our office historically. A gentleman at our office named Lucas did the research and said that when corn over the past 10 years, if the USDA does a reduction on this report, the average reduction is 0.6 million acres. So, and at the most,
That's
yes, that's the average, and the most was about 1 million acres for reduction side. So the surprise would be if it's more than 1 million acres, which I don't think would happen. That would be the surprise. On the flip side, with soybeans, historically speaking, it's a crazy swing what the USDA can do with acres on this report. Crazy. Anywhere from 1 million to 3 million acres, and there's no rhyme or reason as to what would make them do anything. My guess would be that they do a pretty big bump higher on acres, and then we see a really generous cut on the quarterly stocks.
Okay, when you say a pretty big bump up,
more acres planted of
as
to
in
soybeans.
how many?
I wouldn't know. Definitely more than 1. I don't think more
north
than
of 2?
3.
Okay.
Hard to say.
Okay.
Somewhere between 1 and 3.
In your mind, though, Mike, what's the biggest surprise that we could see out of this report?
Well, I think it's twofold. Nobody's talked anything about wheat. We took 5 million acres out of wheat in the seedings report. What if they show us that there's 1 or 2 million more acres of wheat that ultimately come back to the equation? The other thing that really has to be talked about is prevent plant. Prevent plant was big last year, 6.7 million acres, and this year it could be as small as 2.5. And so there's a few extra acres out there that could show up anywhere, and it's the lottery right now as to where they land. Obviously, with the way spring went down, corn got planted aggressively, weather was good for the most part, and then we had this rallying soybean market. So what if we add to corn, and what if we add big to beans same time?
And what if we do?
If we do, then we've obviously priced not enough of a cut in, or excuse me, not enough of a drop in the market. We will likely see some further declines, despite the fact that we've nearly killed the rally that's taken us 2.5 months to get here.
Once we move past these reports, Naomi, in your mind, out of all the row crops, which has the most potential for a rally this year?
Potentially the soybeans, depending on the weather. If the weather can be negative for prices, because the ending stocks for soybeans in the world situation and the demand has been so strong that is the friendliest story because of the ending stocks table. Unless they do a 3 million acre increase, then that kind of makes for, you'd have to have a really bad August weather profile. But I would say the beans would be the ones to watch, and then corn would be the one to follow.
What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
I think it could go either way between corn and beans, really. The reality is that there's a budding conversation regarding what South America is going to plant next year. And the bottom line here is that right now it kind of favors corn. Corn is relative to soybeans a little bit better of a price. They have record prices in Brazil. They've got, in Argentina, a reduction in tariff and taxes both. The reality is we could see some big corn numbers come out of there. But what happens now if soybeans begin to take off, and like the United States, it swings the other way and starts to pull acres? So, it could go either way right now, and you throw some weather in the United States, a little bit of a supply chain hiccup like we had a couple of falls ago, and now we've got an opportunity summer or fall for a nice rally.
Naomi, let's switch gears and move over to milk. When we look at the milk production report out of USDA this week, we are still under a lot of milk production right now, and it's not getting better. But do you think we have put a bottom in for prices, milk prices?
I would say we have a short-term bottom in for prices, but I do not think we go higher than where we have been right now. Likely see more of a consolidation phase because production is plentiful. We just have a problem of getting our product out to the world because we are still overall for all dairy prices priced too high compared to the rest of the world. So I think we see a little bit more of a consolidation phase for milk prices in the short term and probably a correction. Could we go back and test the lows from where we were? I'm not sure. There's a lot that has to come into play, but I think we've seen a short-term high.
And your thoughts on pork prices?
Pork prices, they'll hang in there. We're having a correction right now, but as long as the export demand can stay in there, we'll see the pork price stay firm.
Mike, only about 30 seconds. What are your thoughts on milk prices moving forward?
Well, the reality is we're way overpriced in the world market. We just shook the world market up with the Brexit vote. We have an oversupply, cows, milk, product, and at the end of the day, most of the buyers off exchange are discount to the market.
Okay.
I look for this to soften as we head into the summer further.
All right. Thank you both for being here. We'll get their closing thoughts when we come back on U.S. Farm Report.
Attention, catheter patients on Medicare. I'm a professional cowboy, and I use catheters. Been cowboying for 25 years. I've broken 14 bones, had 2 concussions, and a punctured lung. I know pain, and I don't want any more of it, especially when I cath. Now, I use these new nearly painless catheters from Medical Direct Club. They hurt less. Compared to the old ones, these ain't nothing. Here's how it works. You call and you get a free catheter sample. I was just like you, wondering if I should call. Boy, I'm glad I did. Give yourself a break from pain and try these new catheters. You won't know unless you try them. Give them a call now. You have nothing to worry about. They bill Medicare and your insurance company. You pay nothing up front. You get your free nearly painless catheter sample sent right to your home.
Call 1-800-280-5648. That's 1-800-280-5648. Call now.
Join Farm Journal field agronomists Ken Ferry and Missy Bauer this summer at a Farm Journal College event near you. New this year, Farm Journal College features 2 brand new events in Hayworth, Illinois. The Ag Professional Consultant and Retailer College and Farm Journal Technology and Data College. Farm Journal College will also be heading to Albert Lea, Minnesota for an action-packed 3 days of corn and soybean content. Visit farmjournalcollege.com to view each location's tentative agendas and learn more.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Welcome back to Markets Now. Closing thoughts. Naomi, let's start with you.
I think right now, don't panic with Brexit. It's definitely something that is going to affect the market from the standpoint of the U.S. dollar, but there are 4 things to be watching right now. The value of the dollar, which is going to be staying firm to higher, so that'll affect our markets a little bit. But then part 2 of that is how the funds react, finishing out second quarter and starting third quarter. USDA report next week could be a lot of surprises, and then of course weather after that. But there's so much unknown. I think that just don't panic quite yet.
All right, Mike?
Stick to the plan. We have talked about from day one in this that the rally took place without a lot of good foundation. It offered opportunities to make sales. If we get another rally, continue to make sales. If we do not, rest on the laurels of having a marketing plan in place like you had going into this big sell-off. Options are a great tool even now, and think in terms of 2-directional markets. If they go up, sell them. If they come back down, be glad that you have some coverage in place, but don't lose focus.
Thank you both for being here during this busy week. Stay with us. John Phipps joins us next.
Can't get weeds off your mind? You need the powerful weed control of Liberty herbicide on Liberty Link crops. Together, Liberty Link and Liberty provide outstanding yields. Liberty herbicide, now at a new lower price. See your local retailer for details.
The IRS garnished my paycheck.
We owed the IRS $30,000.
The IRS will stop at nothing to collect the money you owe. They will levy your paycheck, seize your assets, and can even put you in jail.
We were afraid and didn't know what to do, so we called Tax Help Today, and they got us help.
My wage garnishment was lifted, and now I can pay my rent.
Call Tax Help today at 800-908-4885 for a free consultation. That number is 800-908-4885 for tax help.
Hi, Tom Parent here for DR Power Equipment. Is your driveway a bumpy road full of potholes, washboard, and ruts?
Well, for lots of folks that live in the country, this is a normal ride. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not when you own a DR Power Grader, now available at a new low price. Tow the Power Grader behind your riding mower, utility tractor, or ATV. With each pass, the Power Grader loosens, redistributes, and levels surface materials. Potholes and ruts are filled in, washboard is smoothed out, and your resurfaced driveway is ready to roll.
Call 1-800-708-5320 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. You'll learn how you can own a DR Power Grader for as little as $799.99. Free shipping is now in effect, and with our 6-month at-home trial, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call 1-800-708-5320. Online at drpowergrader.com.
Welcome back. Well, mundane tasks on the farm seem to change in meaning as you grow older, and John has more from the farm this morning.
For you longtime viewers, you know that I've talked about, moaned and groaned about mowing roadsides, 3 or 4 times over the last 10 years doing John's World. For the most part, it's been, I hate it and it's a dirty job. And I've gotten great feedback from people saying, well, A, you're mowing too often, and so and guys from Iowa, for instance, who say there's a state law that they can't mow before some date, 1st of August or something. At any rate, we decided this year to test that theory for 2 reasons. First off, I wanted to try to mow less, and secondly, we're getting a lot of weeds in our mowing because we're mowing too soon. So we let the roadsides grow up. And this is a hard thing to do when everybody else is manicuring theirs and yours are the ones left. Now, the brome grass came up and it did choke out the weeds, and we're hopeful that it's maybe the right thing to do, so we're giving it a try. But there's another real reason that here I am out here mowing the roads again, and in a non-air conditioned tractor that's almost as old as I am. But it turns out, and this is something I want to just horrify you younger viewers with, your idea of loathsome tasks will change over the years. And while I used to hate mowing roads, I'm still not crazy about it. But on the other hand, it's something I can do. It's really important as you get older to feel like you're even moderately useful, and that's getting harder and harder, especially where you can't keep up with the software updates and the new controls on the tractors. But this old tractor and I have been through a few laps. I understand where the ditches are. I even know better than anybody else where, hidden in that 4-foot grass, are the telephone boxes and the tile holes, so I can actually help. So for the 2 or 3 hours that I'm allowed by Jan and Aaron to mow roads in the morning, I'm pretty much a happy camper. So for all of you out there who hate mowing roads, just take a deep breath and wait a few years.
Thanks so much, John. Well, last week, John rocked the boat when he voiced his opinion on the upcoming presidential election, sparking quite the response from many of you. In our next half hour, we'll air some of your concerns, so please stay with us.
U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast. From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. We have much more ahead over the next half hour. We'll introduce you to a dairyman who chooses people over innovation. He's this month's Farm Journal's milk cover story. John's presidential views made some viewers uneasy. We have your rebuttals. Baxter Black is a horseman, and he has a new one calling his ranch home. And in Tractor Tales, Machinery Pete has a retired John Deere. Now for the headlines. As many as 5 million illegal immigrants in the country who hope to be granted citizenship and obtain work visas through the president's immigration plan Well, they're now back to square one. In a gridlock vote of 4-4, the Supreme Court Thursday blocking the administration's executive actions on immigration. Since the vote was even, the justices upheld a lower court decision to forbid the president from launching a program to grant legal status to immigrant parents of U.S. citizens. The president called the decision heartbreaking for the millions of immigrants who made their lives here and voiced his sincere disappointment in the matter.
But for more than 2 decades now, our immigration system, everybody acknowledges, has been broken. And the fact that the Supreme Court wasn't able to issue a decision today doesn't just set the system back even further. It takes us further from the country that we aspire to be.
It also leaves uncertainty for those farmers and ranchers in search of farm labor. Well, also out of Washington this week, the Senate reaching a deal on a national GMO labeling bill. If passed, the mandatory national system will preempt the possibility of a patchwork of state laws, but it doesn't touch Vermont's law. As we've been reporting, Vermont's GMO labeling law will take effect July 1st. If food and beverage manufacturers don't comply with Vermont's law, they face up to a $1,000 a day fine. Pro-farmer consultant Jim Wiesmeyer tells us the mandatory labeling bill in the Senate will probably get a vote next week and then back in the House after it returns from recess in July. But Wiesmeyer does think the bill has a good chance of White House approval with support from USDA. A rider on the Senate Interior Appropriations bill seeks to stop the EPA from funding campaigns against agriculture. The rider, one of many on the bill, followed the EPA billboard funding controversy in Washington state. The advocacy campaign was funded in part by a $20.5 million EPA grant. The campaign included billboards and a website attacking agriculture and urging Washington state lawmakers to increase regulations over the ag industry. Other riders on the spending bill include a block on the EPA's Waters of the U.S. rule. USDA is dipping into discretionary funds to help finance farmers still trying to secure operating loans. AgriPulse reports Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack plans to use $500 million to help FSA survive a projected deficit. The $2 billion in FSA's budget is expected to run out before the fiscal year comes to a close September 30th. This comes as farmers and ranchers are seeking operating loans to weather the economic headwinds they face. Well, farmers and ranchers can now fly small commercial drones without fears of repercussions. The FAA announced the rules that allow the small aircrafts to fly only during daylight hours. Operators must also get certified every 2 years. Now, American Farm Bureau isn't completely happy with the ruling, saying it plans to continue to work with FAA to further ease certain restrictions. Farm Bureau is asking FAA to not require drones to be flown within the operator's line of sight, saying that's problematic for farmers and ranchers who cover a vast amount of land and fields that aren't contiguous. Unmanned aerial vehicles are already a staple in California, helping with wine production.
You can split up blocks into small management subzones and then manage a vineyard or a site more accurately, saving water, using less inputs, and even less pesticides if you know the targeted usage of these.
New numbers show agriculture could account for as much as 80% of all commercial drone use.
Agriculture's National Forecast is sponsored by Yamaha's full line of real-world tough ATVs and side-by-side vehicles.
All right, that's it for the news. We'll check back in with Cindy Clausen for a long-term look at weather. Cindy, the talk of above normal temps is already catching the commodity market's eyes.
That's right, Tyne, and we're going to be seeing those warm temperatures continuing for a lot of the country. Here's a look at the jet stream as we head into this week, and we still see this ridge, especially in the western half of the country, some really warm temperatures all the way from the western Gulf Coast states down into the southwest. Now, we do have a trough that'll bring some stormy weather to parts of the northeast, but watch as we get into the rest of the week as this ridge starts to really build up to the north. And so we're going to be seeing some very warm temperatures for the western half of the country, and even into the southeast. The more normal temperatures, if you will be Great Lakes and into the northeast. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a very warm week ahead if you're in the western half of the country. Here's a look at the 30-day temperatures, and overall we're looking at above normal temperatures for most of the country. The only kind of normal temperatures are going to be in the southern plains, and as far as precipitation is concerned, no real strong signals other than a little on the wet side along the Gulf Coast and a little on the dry side in the Pacific Northwest. Tyne?
Thanks so much, Cindy. Well, we started teaming up with our reporting partners at Farm Journal's Milk Magazine this year to profile some of the most forward-thinking dairy farmers in the country. In this Farm Journal report, Betsy Gibbon takes us to Ontario County, New York, to meet a dairyman who believes the key to being successful isn't being the most innovative, but simply putting his people first.
Many dairy farmers share challenges.
It's making your ends meet and being able to pay your bills.
But that's where the similarities end for New York dairy producer John Muller.
I don't have a cell phone, all right? And so I've got 75 employees and I've hired them to make their decisions.
Muller doesn't just credit success to communication.
When we have to make a big decision, then we have to have people come together.
But the quality of his employees.
The top priority is making sure that your people are happy and you're giving them the tools they need to get the job done.
That mindset started with John's dad, George. He began the operation with one cow in the 1950s, soon building more barns and partnering with neighbors. Now there are 3 dairies made up of 3,900 head of cattle.
And it's hard sometimes to get consensus, but the pressure to keep moving is great enough that usually somebody changes their mind and says, okay, compromise happens, and we get moving again.
Working with people and praising employees.
And then when they do a good job, you got to celebrate the success.
It starts with thanking their staff for a job well done in the parlor. Simple gestures recognizing hard work by giving employees the opportunity for more equity by owning cattle within the herd.
We will rent the cows from them, and they will pay us to raise the heifers. And in the future, we hope to turn some of that investment that they have into cattle, turn that into ownership of the business.
Something herd manager Tucker Korn has invested in already, buying cattle and growing assets in the hopes of buying a farm or building money for retirement.
A lot of other farms wouldn't even think about it. It's complicated, they'd say, or, oh, we're not going to share the wealth, basically, you know. It's generous of the employer, but in good times, it can help the employer add cows.
It creates some loyalty in the team, right, for your business. They have an investment in it. They have some skin in the game.
It's an ownership program that may build a succession plan, potentially keeping those quality employees longer, bringing some into the partnership when others retire.
We have an LLC and we have capital account, and we're trying to get them to have a piece of that capital account.
We don't have the problems, the communication issues that other farms, people get frustrated and they just leave. Whereas here, we don't have a lot of frustrations because we're all in the loop.
While people remain the core of the operation, John also credits success to managing a strong balance sheet.
You got to have cost control because it's the low-cost producer that survives.
Though that balance sheet hasn't been as strong for many producers lately, John has benefited from the yogurt industry in New York. But now he says the state has too much milk, just like the rest of the world.
The yogurt boom here the last decade has been great for soaking up our milk. Now, of course, we've got a problem with some of them moving their production out of state, and now we've got too much milk in New York.
It's all about taking advantage of opportunities and celebrating success, even during tougher times in the dairy market.
It's just fun to see people grow and develop and reach their dreams because they're helping you reach your dreams.
Reporting in Clifton Springs, New York, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
Thanks so much, Betsy. Another interesting fact about Mueller, he says he doesn't accept government payments and thinks it hasn't hurt his operation. Well, up next, some viewers weren't too happy with John's political stance last week. We have your rebuttals. That's coming up next.
Viewers respond on the presidential candidates.
We're all aware of catastrophic storms that can knock out power to millions. Powerful storms and high winds that bring down power lines. Even rolling blackouts caused by our nation's faltering electrical grid.
So how can you protect your home and family from all these uncertainties?
The answer is a home standby generator from Generac. It stands guard, ready to automatically supply power to your home within seconds of a power outage. For a free buyer's guide and DVD all about Generac home backup power, call 1-800-731-0399. You'll learn all about automatic home generators starting at just $18.99. Online at freegeneratorguide.com.
It's one of the best investments I've ever made in this house.
It gives you security, it's reliable.
That gives you that feeling of security that, to me, is priceless.
Call now for a limited time bonus offer worth $495. That's 1-800-731-0399.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-316-1198 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-316-1198. Call now.
Well, John's political commentary last week sparked a flood of responses, many who didn't agree with his views. So this week, he shares the other side. John?
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
Unsurprisingly, my opinions regarding the presidential candidates prompted strong responses. Here are some of the criticisms. Farmers and ranchers are smart enough to make up their own minds about their choices for political candidates, and some of us are better versed on the impact of trade policies, economic growth, national security, and immigration than Mr. Phipps. He's welcome to his opinions, but expressing them in the middle of the farm reporting I enjoyed so much was an unpleasant shock that changed my entire opinion of the Farm Report program. It had no place on your program. We all get enough of this kind of politics on the networks and cable news. And that's from Ward Critz, Colonel Retired. On Facebook, Paul Harrop. If his opinions don't reflect the opinion of your show, then why let him voice them? It was nothing more than an anti-Trump rant. It sure rubbed me the wrong way. And Paul M. Caruso, getting tired of John Phipps campaigning for Hillary. Your commentary on the presumptive political candidates was a shocker, especially regarding your comment on Hillary Clinton being competent. Have you not read or heard the news about the Benghazi tragedy where we lost 4 American lives due to her incompetence as Secretary of State, or our national security at risk because of her private email server, which has reportedly been hacked by Russia? That's from James Hill. John's comments on Mr. Trump and Mrs. Clinton made me feel John should join the Sunday morning talk shows. His critical comments on Mr. Trump and his Clinton push made me think he was from Chicago rather than Chrisman, Illinois. Is John a closet Democrat Pac-Man? Let's stick to agriculture and leave the politics for behind the curtain at the voting machine on Election Day. That's from Al Hill in Deep Run, North Carolina. Please visit our website for all the feedback in their complete form. Thanks to all who responded. Also to loyal viewer Barrett Young, who asked the question last week. Barrett, how about an easier one next time?
Now remember, if you have more questions or comments about the upcoming presidential election, you can email John at mailbag@usfarmreport.com. Well, after the break, we head out west to visit Baxter Black.
Miss any of today's show? Head to usfarmreport.com to watch the program online. U.S. Farm Report. Trusted. Timely. Tradition.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump? Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-515-4765 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR Stump Grinder for 6 months. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR for as low as $42 a month. Plus, get free shipping if you call now. 1-800-515-4765. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
Yamaha Viking and Viking 6. The hardest working, most off-road capable side-by-sides in America. Built for the hardest working people on earth. You.
Tommy, I'm a little disappointed. The yields weren't there and the prices are low. We need to sell at a good price. What do you advise?
Hi, it's Tommy Grisafi, and I would like to visit you at your farm to discuss strategies and risk management solutions that best fit your farm's interest. Call me at 855-737-FARM, and I will personally visit you at your farm. Experience solid market advice right on the farm.
Welcome back. Well, for a little taste of life out west, we send it over to Baxter Black this week.
Whenever we introduce a new horse to the ranch, it often takes a while for him to adjust. Where we live, the country's pretty brushy, meaning catclaw and mesquite and cactus of all kinds. It is also riven with steep sides and arroyos and canyons and jagged rocks. Well, I'd traded for a young horse and took her out for her first gather. We'd ridden about 2 miles with her snorting and stopping and sliding and whinnying for other horses to save her. We slid off a slope and hit a small arroyo at the bottom. She stood shaking. I was egging her on, but to no avail, she wouldn't move. Completely overwhelmed, she laid down in the sand like a cow. Well, I sat still in the saddle with my stirrups on the ground, and we had a short conversation, about a minute, I guess, and then she took a deep breath and rose to the occasion. The South Dakota Badlands can overpower a horse too. Shorty told me he took a green gelding out to check cows on his Pine Ridge lease one day. Rough country, mostly rocky and uneven. And off to the side, he spotted a big old bull. Well, Shorty decided to push the bull on down the creek. So the bull started down the steep trail into the creek bed, but then he turned back the wrong way. Well, Shorty loped back up the creek bank, hee-hawing and hollering and waving his arms to shoosh the bull. But all the hoopla spooked the horse, who jumped the bank and landed a straddle of the bull. Well, the bull let out down the creek, the horse rolled off the bull, and Shorty rolled off the horse. Well, the frightened horse climbed the bank and took off. Shorty topped the rim, and there stood this inexperienced novice pony, eyes wide and nostrils flaring, not 20 feet away. Somewhere in his little equine brain, he was processing his options. The bull, the rock, the trailer, mother, and home. Not having any experience in his young life to compare this to, he actually walked up to Shorty, who touched the side of his face and sighed. I guess he just needed a hug. We all do sometimes. This is Baxter Black from out there.
A good message. Thanks so much, Baxter. And you can watch more of Baxter's commentary online at baxterblack.com. Well, when we come back, Machinery Pete joins us with this week's classic tractor, so don't go anywhere.
How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to file a claim. My central air stopped working and needs to be replaced.
Oh, sorry, your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover air conditioners.
So what do you cover?
Well, home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Covered.
But not my air conditioner.
But his air conditioner would have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, oven, refrigerator, washer, water heater, and more. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty from award-winning American Home Shield helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-944-5796.
Attention to everyone eligible for Medicare for an important message from Medicare.com. The Affordable Care Act has added helpful new benefits to your Medicare coverage. You may not realize that there are a host of benefits you may be eligible for, including many useful preventative services that can make a difference in your health. Many benefits come with zero copays and zero deductibles. Call the number on your screen now or contact Medicare.com to review your Medicare plan options. Medicare Advantage plans often include dental, vision, and prescription coverage. Don't miss out on the coverage you deserve. Call for free now or go to Medicare.com. There is no obligation. Friendly licensed insurance agents are standing by now with free information. It's time for you to take advantage of what is available to you.
Please call 800-920-6690. That is 800-920-6690.
Time now for Tractor Tales with Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
This is my 1935 John Deere A, unstyled A. My grandfather purchased it a year or two shortly after it was new. I was told that you had to get lottery tickets to buy a tractor back then because they were in such short supply. When this tractor was purchased for my family, they were hard to get machinery at that time. So went from mules and horses to a tractor like this. I mean, it would have been incredible. It came with steel wheels, and the rims were cut down and added rubber tires to it so you could travel up and down the road. You mean, didn't used to be roads out here, so it didn't really matter, you know, dirt roads, but they had to put them on rubber so you could get around the country. It has a high compression power block head on it, and actually the head, to get the guides made, I had a machine shop. They took Caterpillar guides of some sort to make the guides for the head, but so it's got a high compression head on it. It's kind of hard to start. You got to really be in good shape to get it started. The front tires were brand new, and they are almost rotten, and they still got the bumps still on them, so time for another set of front tires. Parade tractor, I guess. I'm probably not gonna plow or do anything with it. I mean, you could have plower days, but since I'm a farmer, I've been getting enough plowing while I'm working. Last few years on the farm, when I was a little child, they used it to run corn dump, put corn in the crib, and my mom didn't like it much because, like I say, it was pretty hard to start, even then when it was pretty wore out. So.
Thanks so much, Greg and Mike. Well, today's Country Church Salute goes to St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Clear Creek, Iowa Township. First settled by German Catholics in the 1800s, it was purchased from the Diocese of Davenport just 5 years ago. They tell us it's now become a hot spot for weddings and other gatherings. The church is celebrating their 158th birthday this weekend. Our thanks to Michael Berg for sending that in. And if you have a church that you would like to share, you can send those to the address on the screen. Well, as some of our viewers battled storms this week, we have footage of the tornado aftermath. That's coming up right after the break.
Find your next piece of farm equipment with Machinery Pete. Visit and shop on machinerypete.com today with more than 100,000 listings for sale.
Opportunities are out there. When it comes to getting maximum productivity from your acres, who can you turn to?
I got a guy who works with me to customize a plan for each acre, not a one-size-fits-all solution.
I got a guy who knows which corn products will help me get more out of this field.
I got a guy who digs deeper and treats my business like it's his.
Who do I turn to? My channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Welcome.
Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck. We're going to grab that empty toolbox for me. Let's start here with the aluminum bed.
That's a big hole. Huge. We got Swiss cheese for a truck here. I'm curious to see if that will do the same thing with the Chevy.
Well, let's find out. Same spot, same angle, same empty toolbox.
Took it way better.
The steel held up.
Silverado proved it is the toughest truck here.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now is the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Well, Mike Hoffman's back in Kansas for a family reunion this weekend, so I'm flying solo. But we have plenty of pictures, starting off with the Gossets. They were busy checking and feeding cattle this week with a little extra help. Look at that green pasture in the background. Impressive. That's Emma Grace helping out her pawpaw. In the big city of Kremlin, Montana, Ryan snapped a picture of his winter wheat with the yellow mustard in the background. He says crops look phenomenal this year. By the way, the population of Kremlin, 126. Scott was busy spraying corn in the shuffle town of Bottoms in Kentucky. That's just across the Ohio River from Newburgh, Indiana. He had a nice sunny day for spraying. Scott says they found some rust in corn, but if they can catch a few showers, it should be a really good crop this year. Well, at least 4 tornadoes touched down in northern Illinois this week, ripping through towns and farmland. Jeff from Seneca said his farm suffered extensive damage. The tornado also flattened crops in its path. To end on a brighter note, Melinda Rooks captured this sunset picture on County Line Farm in Culloden, Georgia. Thanks so much for all those pictures. If you have any you would like to submit, you can either email those to us or post them on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us at U.S. Farm Report, I'm Tyne Morgan. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join us again right here next week as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend, everyone.
High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Chevy Silverado, the official news-gathering vehicle of U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast.